Welcome to Land Speed Legends, a podcast talking to the men, the women, the legends that make land speed racing great. Discover the stories of these ordinary people whose passion for land speed racing has made them legendary. And now, here's your host, the Bonneville Belle, the High Boy Honey, the Salt Princess, Allison Volk-Dean.
I'm here with the legendary Fred Dannenfelzer. Fred is out here at the beautiful Bonneville Salt Flats, dragging a track for Speed Week, and I am just thankful that after a long, hard day of pulling that drag, that he is willing to sit down with me and tell me a little bit of his story. So you were just telling me it all really started with those golden years of early hot rodding in Southern California.
Hot rodding, yeah.
Yeah. So 1953, you kind of start racing just because everybody else is doing it.
Just the thing to do back then.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're 17 years old, and so where are you racing at?
We were racing at the Santa Maria drag strip, San Luis Obispo drag strip, Famosa drag strip. Mostly those three. They were the closest for us.
And what were you racing?
Well, originally I had just an old 39 Pontiac that I had hopped up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then I built a 32 coupe, chop top, 3-window coupe. We put a Chrysler in it, and it's running fuel altered with that.
Yeah. That's awesome. What were you running? Like, what were your times that you were getting?
125 was fast for that.
Yeah.
It was good at the time.
Good.
You just spin the tires all the way down.
Well, that sounds like fun, though.
It was. It was fun to drive.
Okay. And that's like in the mid-50s, you start racing the fuel altereds. Okay. And so how did you start kind of getting interested in land speed racing?
Oh, just through Hot Rod Magazine, mainly. We didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Just what we heard, and didn't really know anybody running it. But through Hot Rod Magazine, reading it and what have you. And it was, back then, it was on Labor Day weekend. So a friend of mine, we were working together, and on a Friday, and at lunchtime, we said, "Hey, let's take off, go to Bonneville tonight for the weekend." Okay, 6:00 that night, off we went, drove all night to get here, and what have you, and spectated. And that was when the year Mickey Thompson first came out with that Streamliner and ran 292. He's on his way to the drag races with it, but stopped off here and ran 292 and
Oh my gosh.
the record then. We got to see that. Tony Waters at that time was running a highboy roadster, and he was the first highboy to go over 200.
And you were there?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. And so that's like your first couple of years out there that you just kind of start spectating.
Yeah.
And then you said, did you, but you didn't start racing then. You kind of go back to drag racing. Is that right?
Yeah, we was drag racing. Not real steady. Couldn't afford it too much, but we kept after it for a while. And my first ride in a top fuel car was my last ride in a top fuel car was in 1963.
Okay. And then what year did you come out to race to Bonneville not as a spectator?
1961.
Okay. And what did you do?
We had a highboy roadster built, belonged to Jerry Williams.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Model A coupe that we made a roadster body out of, and we qualified for a record run with it. And we're running gasoline. That was the first time I'd ever run gas. But didn't quite make it. So.
Yeah. What class was that you were running into?
I think it was a blown fuel gas roadster. They're not blown fuel, a blown gas roadster.
A blown gas roadster.
Yeah. It was a 331-inch Chrysler, the 671 on it. And
Nice.
there's nothing trick to it.
I bet. And so you guys kind of just got that. You didn't ever get it really to hook up real well, though, it sounds like. No. So then what did you end up doing after that?
Yeah, I kept on drag racing. We ran that car at the drag races.
Okay.
We took it out just one time down to Fontana. Ran 150 miles an hour, which was pretty fast for a roadster at that time at the drag races. Spinning the tires all the way down. But it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. So that's the only time. Then we never ran it anymore. And I kept on. I had a dragster that I was running every once in a while. And then 1963, I put my motor in Chief and Avery Galbraith's roadster. And we came up here in 63 and broke the motor.
Broke the motor first meet, huh? Was it just that one year that you ran that car?
Well, I got hooked the first time driving it in 61. That's what set the anchor right there.
Oh, yeah.
No.
You were in. So you drove in 61 when you came up to Bonneville. You were the driver. And did you drive this other roadster that you were with Avery Galbraith?
Yeah.
Okay. But you broke it, and then was that just that?
Well, we wound. He had an engine also. He had a Dodge. We put that in, and Chief was going to drive it. We broke that too. So
didn't sound like you had much luck.
It wasn't a successful year.
Yeah, those happen once in a while, huh?
Yeah.
Well, darn it. So, and then is that when you kind of decide you're going to take a little bit of break from racing?
Well, what happened was in 1962, I bought my house and was married, bought my house, couldn't afford to go racing and what have you. So, we took a break, and then Chief opened up a motorcycle shop, and I got into motorcycles and started racing motorcycles up through the end of 1970. In 1970, I came back here with some friends.
Yeah, but you're motorcycle racing. You were telling me about that. That was really cool that you were doing trail bikes.
Pardon?
You were doing trail bikes?
Well, I started off with a trail bike and then got bigger, right? I didn't keep that very long. I was too big for it.
And what did you move on to? What was
my last bike was a 360 Husqvarna.
Oh, okay.
Before that, I had 360 Bultaco, and before that, a 250 Bultaco.
Oh, yeah. And then you said you did that Barstow to Vegas, that you're like the first four runs.
First four meets they had on the Barstow to Vegas run, I ran that 4 times.
And that's cool. And is that a big meet? Like, is that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The last meet I was at, they had 2,800 bikes.
Oh, wow. Wow. So that was a big deal. And to be the first 4, that's really cool.
So, and I was pretty successful at that.
Yeah. And so you decided that you didn't like it, or?
Well, I liked it. I enjoyed it, but my body started to reject.
Your body didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. It's hard on the body.
Yeah. So you come back.
1970, there was a bunch of my friends from Santa Barbara that were still running Bonneville. And so I came up with them. They had a highboy roadster, and that was Gil Ruiz and Donnie Torgerson. And we ran in 1970 and wound up by the end of the meet. We were right on the record, didn't break it. I wasn't driving. Donnie Torgerson was driving. Mm-hmm. He was right on the record, but motor wound up breaking before we got it. I put an engine in the same car in 1971 and was over the record, but broke it on the first run.
So did you break it? So you got qualified. I mean, you broke the record, not broke the record, but qualified, but broke the engine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I broke a lot of engines up till 1985. Broke a lot of engines.
You figured out how to stop breaking engines by then?
Went to a dry sump oiling system.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's good. Well, so, and that, which one was this? This was 1971 that we're talking about, right? That you,
Yeah.
And so that was the high boy.
Yeah, it was a high boy.
So did you only race that for a year?
Yeah.
And then you decided to move on to the
Wanted
modified?
to build a modified roadster. I really liked the modified roadster, so Gil Lewis and me built a modified roadster in my shop.
Oh.
Yeah, in my garage, you know.
Yeah.
Ran that. We were together for 2 years on that, and he decided he wanted to go a different direction, so I bought him out of the roadster, and then I kept on running it.
And
Clear up till 1990 through 1993 before I sold it.
And this modified roadster was, it was good to you. It sounds like you ran the lakes and you ran Bonneville and you got in the 2 Club in both of those.
Yes.
Well, what was it like to tell me about the lake, like getting in the 2 Club, the Lake El Mirage 2 Club? How did that go? What was the run like?
Well, I had some other partners. Bob Richards and Jack Quentins came in partners with me.
Mm-hmm.
And after the 2 rainouts at Bonneville in a row, they'd never run the dry lakes. They'd always run up here. But anyway, he says, well, we're getting kind of bored. Let's go to El Mirage and see what happens. We ran their engine and my car on gasoline. Last time we ever ran gasoline. But we did it all through 1983. And I told him, hey, as a driver, we ran about 210 with it on gas. Didn't set any records, but I told him, I'm getting bored driving this thing. I said, it's too easy. You know? So we started running fuel, and then 1984, I got in the 2 Club.
Okay.
Dirty 2
The
Club.
2.
Yeah.
What was the class that you were running in?
A blown fuel
Lakester.
or modified roadster.
Oh, it was modified. Oh, yeah, you're modified. Sorry, you're not in the Lakester yet. So the modified roadster. And then do you have any interesting stories about running at Elmo? Like, is there anything that...
Oh, there's nothing special except for when I spun it out.
Yeah, that's spinning out a modified roadster is pretty...
I wrecked it once there. It didn't go over. Barrett claims it did, but it didn't. I spun the thing out, and then it got into the doonies and just bent the whole front and half of the car up, bent the rear end and what have you. But rebuilt it all, and the car actually handled much better after we rebuilt it. So, but I only ran it. That was up in about 90, 91 or something like that.
That was a happy mistake.
So I only ran it a couple of years, but the car never made a bad move after that.
Oh, that's interesting.
We had a lot of runs at Bonneville that were one reason I wanted to build the Lakester, because I wanted to get the engine behind me because I was always getting oiled down with it. I had many runs that were over. We wound up setting the record over 290 with it. With
the modified
at Bonneville. But I had many runs that were over 300. But you could go just from what the timing slip said up, where I was at, and still accelerating. It was 290, 296, and coasting for a mile, So, because I had to shut it off, can't see.
You were sick of wiping off your helmet. So what year did you get in the 2 Club at?
1985.
1985.
That was at 265 miles an hour.
Yeah.
66, something like that, 266.
266. And that was just running that same class.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it sounds like you just keep getting more and more speed.
We did. We just kept putting a little more nitro in it. Yeah.
Seems a little bit more nitro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And so, what was it like? What was it like to get in the 2 Club? Like, was that something that was a big goal of yours? I mean, I know it's a goal of everybody's, but was it like?
Well, it's always a goal.
Yeah.
When you break one goal.
You just set another. So you get the goal of the 200 mile an hour club, and then you set it for the next level.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, is that when you decide to build the lakester?
Yes.
Okay. So, what made you decide to do that? To go from
just because.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
Getting the oil out of my face.
It was just pure. Yeah.
Of course. After that, I got the engine sealed up, so it didn't do it.
You figured that out.
Yeah, I finally figured where it was coming from.
So you could have stayed in the modified, but you got the lakester, which is a really cool lakester, and you built that in 1993.
Started building it in 1993. Didn't finish it until probably the end of '96.
Okay, so that's like a 3-year project. And what is it that what class are you looking to build it in when you're building it?
We've been running all different classes with it, but it's always been fuel.
Okay.
We're running a B fuel motor in it, but I've run I held the record in AA, A, and B blown fuel for a while. Strasburg's got them all now, but we're going to go back after them.
Oh, I like it. That's what makes, that's good.
Oh yeah.
So
they're great guys.
Oh, they are. They're a great family. So you, sorry, you were, you get in the 3 club the 3 chapter in this car though.
Yes.
And so, and you get in the dirty 3 chapter, which is amazing. That's how, there's probably just a handful of people in that.
I think there's 5.
Yeah, that's okay. So tell me, which one did you get in first? Did you get into the dirty 2 club or the Bonneville? The dirty 3 chapter or the Bonneville?
Bonneville.
Okay. So what were you running when you got in the 3 chapter at Bonneville? What was the?
I think it was an A motor.
It was an A motor
at the time. We ran 232. At that time, it rained early in the week, and I was helping set courses up back like I still am. And Mike Waters and Dana Wilson were the guys running the show back then. So they had me go out with them one evening, and the lake bed was closed, but I got to ride out with them, and we started looking at it and what have you. Now, it was still wet on one end, but the other end, we thought, well, maybe tomorrow morning we can set up and run backwards. And so first thing in the morning, the next morning, they grab me and we go back out again and start looking at it. I said, I'd run on this right now.
Yeah.
He said, all right, you're the first one down the course.
And they ran backwards?
No.
Oh, wait. Oh,
no,
it was fine.
Didn't have to.
Oh, it was fine.
Didn't
I ran out.
Right.
Isn't that amazing how it does that?
The way it doesn't do it anymore. But,
yeah.
But it really surprised me, and it was that was in '98. I'm pretty sure. Anyhow, ran 332 miles an hour and set the record. So
yeah.
I think the record was about 312 at that time.
Wow.
We ran on. So.
Good.
And we've upped it since then. Of course, now Strasburg's have upped it even more.
Oh, yeah.
But I still got one on them.
What is it?
I have the fastest open wheel car out the back door.
Oh, there you go. And what was that? What was that time?
286.
Okay.
380.
380. 386. That is just cooking. Yeah. That is so fast.
We had a 375 one way through the mile, but it picked up 10, 11 miles an hour in the last mile. So
that's crazy that it picked up that much.
Surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then what happened with the dirty 3 chapter? How was that? That's pretty crazy. I want to hear about it, like what it was like.
Well,
really quick, how long do you have to do that in? Like, what's the...
It's 1.3 miles in the dirt.
Okay. And what were you running on that? It's same engine? Same?
Yeah.
Okay. Just same class kind of basically.
Same class.
Okay, setup.
Yeah, those were Donovan engines that I was running. Back then, iron head's still on it. So,
Wow.
But,
Wow.
yeah, back then, Les Leggett and me were running against you. We were always good friends.
Mhm.
But he'd take top speed of the meet one meet. I'd take it the next meet. We were back and forth. And wound up. He finally went 300. Pete Prentice went to 300, actually 311.
Mm.
And the next meet out was when I set the record in my class at 305, I think it was.
Wow. So that was probably pretty neat. That's a really big accomplishment to get that.
We were pretty proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Well, okay then. And you drive up until 2000. You're going back and forth and setting records up until 2016.
Yeah.
And you drove until you were 79?
79, just before I turned 79.
Just before, and so, and how fast are you going at this time? You're still going?
Well, everything's up here. I didn't make any runs under 300.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's amazing. That's awesome. So, you were but you're still kind of just going after different records.
Different record, different classes,
and
yeah.
You were the main driver?
Yeah.
Wow. That is impressive. So, and then you decide you're going to start building a streamliner at that time. And what was your goal? Like, what were you thinking?
Well, we were thinking over 400 miles an hour, but naturally it was still the blown fuel Chrysler's going to go in it and what have you. But I wound up running injected nitro, and I only ran it 2 years. In the second year, when the course was really bad, and dug the nose in and screwed the front of the car up at about just almost 300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I heard this big bang. I didn't know what happened. I heard a big bang, thought I blew the engine and shut it off and closed it off. Well, the nose is destroyed on the car and what have you. So I just let it sit. I was tired of working on it, old age. And wound up, it just sat there for a couple of years, and then I sold it to Tim Boyles.
Yeah. And is he running it right now, or is he just working? Okay.
Yeah, in fact, last meet we had up here, he was his first time out with it. He ran, he was over the record, 300 and something with it, with the diesel in it, but he blew both intercoolers out on the qualifying run.
Shoot. So he qualified, but then
he qualified, but
couldn't back it up.
Yeah. So now he's got that all fixed, and he'll be up there.
Yeah, he's got it dialed in, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at that. Well, that's cool. And so that's kind of where you're at. But what do you currently do right now? You're just you have the lakester still, and you're working on that.
I still have the lakester. My son-in-law is driving it. My youngest grandson, is working on it.
Nice.
Just loving it. He's just turned 16.
Oh, good.
And so he naturally wants to drive, but it'll be a while before we put him in it.
Yeah.
But,
that's pretty fast for 16-year-olds.
Casey Polk is driving it. He's one of the members of 3 Club. He used to be Les Liggett's stepson.
Okay.
So he drove for him, and that's when he got in the Dirty 3 Club.
Okay, so he's in it too, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
But when he was driving for Liggett, when they ran the Highboy Roadster the last time, he ran 285, 286, something like that, which was the fastest Roadster for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but
yeah. Oh, that's good. You got some.
He's a heck of a good driver.
Yeah.
So I got him back in the seat now. He hadn't driven in 20 years, but it's like he never been out of the car.
Oh, that's awesome. And he's loving it.
So we set a record at El Mirage, his first time out.
Okay. Oh, cool. And so what's the goal what is your goal like this year at Bonneville?
This year we're running B-Fuel Lakester, injected nitro. The record is 306, Seth Hammond's records. We took his C record last couple of years ago, now I'm after his B record.
Oh, yeah.
So that we want to do that, and then also if we finish early enough, if we set the record and what have you soon enough, I've got my blower pistons and blower and everything with me. We'll switch over and run B blown fuel.
Okay. And what's the record in that?
361 or 362. It's one of Strasburg's records.
Oh, there you go.
They took it from me. They only got it by about 1 mile an hour. Yeah.
You got them in your sights now. You're ready.
Oh, yeah. Well, the 300-incher, I had Alan Fogliadini in the car a couple of years ago, and we ran out the back door, ran 359. The record was 308.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
That one really surprised me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wound up breaking it on the return run, but still had the record at 330 something.
You had that much wiggle room.
Yeah, I had that much wiggle room, yeah.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you're just still kicking butt. Even though you might not be driving, you're still kicking butt in your car.
I still tune it.
Yeah.
Do most of the engine work. The kids do all the work on the car and help me on the engines, but I don't do any of the heavy stuff anymore. So.
Well, I think it's very impressive. But we are out here in Wendover right now. I came out because you guys are working the course. So you work the course and you're dragging and And what are you doing? Like, what exactly do you do for? Is it just SETA that you're doing the stuff for? Or?
Yeah. Well, USFRA usually uses one of our courses, which is fine.
Yeah.
But we drug 2 courses, 4 courses wide.
Yeah.
So there's room to move and you're when the courses get torn up there.
Yeah. So you're all done. You've got it.
We're done now. Yeah. We'll come back a week early and drag them all again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. And is that kind of just your duties that you do for SCTA? Is there anything else?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your daughters are pretty involved as well.
Yeah. Deborah, my oldest daughter's a chief timer, and my youngest daughter, she works in the timing tower with her now. So
yeah, and they just
they're both very good on the mic. Everybody enjoys them. So
yeah, no, they're great. I've met them before, and they're really nice. So
they really like it.
That's awesome, and they just decided to get involved. Kind of like later on, and
really, it was later on. Yeah. It's really gotten to be a family deal now with my grandson and son-in-law and Abby. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's fun that way. Well, you have been coming out here, and I asked the same thing to Russ, but you've been coming out for a long time. What was some of your favorite things that, like, runs to watch or cars to watch, or some of your some experiences that were your favorite out here?
Probably the most memorable was when we ran that 332.
Yeah.
Also on the 386 run, I had Tony Waters was in partners with me at that time. We had his motor in the car at that time, and that was another run that surprised me. Yeah,
it seemed like you that happens a lot to you. You run a little bit faster than you expected. That's awesome, though. That's great. It's pleasantly surprised. But what about other cars? Is there any other cars that, like, outside of yours that you that you love to watch, or that or you're like, wow, that was an amazing one? You got to be there for Mickey Thompson.
Naturally, up here, any of the ones that make thunder.
Yeah, that's right.
Like Altede, of course, he's not running anymore. Yeah. But really enjoy. Mm-hmm. I enjoy the noise.
Yeah, that seems to be consensual. Everybody's
ground pounders.
Yeah, that's fun to watch.
So that's why I won't run a turbocharged car. Is they don't pound the ground.
They're not loud enough.
Not loud enough.
I like it. And I hoped you liked this episode of Land Speed Legends. Please consider liking and sharing it. Don't forget to go to savethesalt.org and also to my Instagram and Facebook pages under Land Speed Legends. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to Land Speed Legends. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, keep up with the show on Facebook and Instagram under Land Speed Legends. Until next time.